Hello, friends and neighbors. Welcome to another exciting, riveting edition of Haunt Nation. Welcome back. Thank you for coming. If you are on our Instagram page, if I can manage to speak normally, if you're on our Instagram page, you will have noticed probably that we went to, and by we I mean me, went to Bates Motel and Haunted Hayride last night on October 30th. This is a beautiful October 31st, a beautiful Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody. Um, and yeah, it's a little overcast, but kind of sunny, not too cold. Really good day for trick or treating. So get out there, do your trick or treating, get in your costumes, have a great fucking time. Make sure to give the kids candy, but not if they don't come in costume. Fuck those kids. If they don't come in costume, they can eat your ass. Because that's some bullshit. They need to know the traditions, not just, I come and I get fucking candy for free. No. That's not how that works. Anyway, I digress. Onwards and upwards, as they say. So, decided kind of last minute. Yesterday was a rainy day, so on and off. So I waited to see if Bates Motel was going to be open. They didn't put out any warnings that they were going to close. So I headed out there. Got out there at about 8:30 p.m. I believe they're open until, last ticket at 9:30. So like right in the middle. I think they're 6:30 to whatever. I should have been there around 8 o'clock, but traffic, weather, other drivers, the people X factor that exists, couldn't have gotten out there any earlier. Uh, Bought tickets online. Ticket was $40 for that particular day. Again, they're another one of these haunts that has differentiating prices depending on when you go during the week. Weekdays like Sunday through Thursday is one price, Friday maybe a different price, Saturday is a different price. Anyhow, so not too terrible of a price. They have a $4 ticketing fee. You know how I feel about ticket fees. But parking is on location and parking is free. So, that is a good thing. See, it's so much easier when I have a co-host sitting here. Again, tried to get my man T to go, but T is still under the weather from the weekend. So, he could not come. But you got me, and I got you. Anyway. Anyhow, so yeah, I believe you can buy tickets on site as well. I don't think there's any difference in price buying them on site or online. They do have time ticketing, so you have to pick a time. It's in 15-minute increments. As I went, they have full metal detectors. Empty your pockets, walk through the metal detector. You're good or not. Wanding afterwards if you're not. And then you go up to they had like a little kiosk behind that, which had women who were scanning the ticket on your phone and giving out a physical ticket. So everybody that likes physical tickets, this is one of the few places still that I got a physical ticket from this year, or this season rather, which is the same thing, this season. Although, there are haunts that do run all year round and others that do run on holidays. So I differentiate those from the season proper, right? Because sometimes they're more limited, they're not as big, they have a theme, so they try to run that theme. Sometimes they have a theme, but they don't have a theme, and it's the same haunt. But anyway, once again, it was a little slippery, it was a little muddy from the rain. It wasn't raining while I was there. It was slightly drizzling when I arrived, but that stopped, so there was no rain, but it was a little slippery and a little muddy. So I will give everyone, including the performers, a little bit of leeway for that potentially dangerous situation. You don't want to slip and fall. So you really don't want to be chasing anyone through the park, right? It's so much easier when I have a co-host because I can wait until they start bullshitting before I take a couple drags on my cigar. Again, today again, say yo Flathead 660. Drinking my coffee out of my legendary coffee mug, which I have a socket bonus of plus 155 haste because coffee is great. Anyhow, I would imagine that you can go where you want, when you want here. I've never tried it, but literally like right where you get your ticket is the entrance to the hayride, and most places do advise you to do the hayride first, since that's a group thing. It's time consuming and probably one of the things they shut down first in their park. Bates Motel only has 3 attractions. They have the hayride, they have the Revenge of the Scarecrows, which is a corn maze walk, and they have the Bates Motel, which is a full-size haunted house. The hayride this year, I noticed some extra things. This is the first year they have their hayride back. So the last few years the hayride's been closed down. I actually did the walk, I believe last year, did the walk through the grounds, which was okay. But this year the hayride is back, so got to ride the hayride. It's an enclosed cart. They filled the cart all around rectangularly, nobody in the middle, but they did fill us up all the way around. And your journey begins. Bates Motel was probably the first hayride I've ever been on that uses music and not narration. When I say that, I mean years ago, not like, wow, this is the first time I've ever seen it. No, years ago, that was the first one that I'd ever seen do that. This is well before Reaper's Revenge was open. Headless Horseman was probably the biggest hayride, and they always did the narration over their broken speakers, which weren't broken this season. Now, a lot of the hayrides seemed more or less the same. I recognized a lot of their sets from prior visits. There did seem to be more animatronics, but the amount of human actors running around and interacting was definitely less. Is this because it was a Monday? Is it because it's the end of the haunt season? I don't know, but again, I've told you all this before, and I will tell you this every time. I expect opening day and closing day to be as good as the middle peak of the season. Why? Because that's how it should be. You really need to expect consistency. You don't go to a restaurant and think, well, here I am at this, 4-star restaurant. I'm the first one in the place, and you're going to end up with a shit meal. Or, hey, I'm the last one in this 4-star restaurant, and I'm going to end up with a shit meal, so I should really come in, like, in the middle of their service. No. You expect the first meal to be as good as the last meal, to be as good as the middle meal. Consistency. That's what I expect. So, I can't say what it was like for the rest of the season. If you do, if you know, please feel free to comment, because I'm curious. But yeah, I did not notice that many human actors. There were scenes that only had 2 actors in them. A lot of the scenes were the same. Again, they start out with the Batman music. That's not if you've ever been there, they got the Batman theme that starts out the hayride, and they got the Ghostbusters theme that ends it off. They do have one new scene that I noticed. There are a bunch of animatronics. Most of them seem to be working and working appropriately. One of them looked like its neck was kind of broken, but it was working. It was moving. I think they could use probably a little better blinding on some of the stuff, because like you can see some of its mechanical arms with like a head on it kind of thing. You know what I mean? You can see that it's an animatronic. It kind of takes away the illusion. It's not dark enough that all you can see is the part that's coming at you. You can see all the machinery behind it, and that does take away from the illusion that it's, a monster, that you're in this, really scary thing. They had one new scene, which I'm not going to ruin for you because it's on their website, a big Wild West town, which had a mix of cowboys and zombie cowboys, maybe. But I don't know. It just seemed to me, it seemed a little out of place. Maybe if they had a cowboys versus zombies thing going on, if they had half the actors as zombies and half the actors as cowboys, and it looked like the town was being overrun by zombies, it would have made more sense to me. But that's not the vibe I got. It was, a bunch of cowboys or bandits kind of running around the cart, pointing their revolvers, making Wild West threats, and it was just out of place. That's how I felt about it. I just felt it was out of place. Again, if you saw it, if you were there this season, please comment and tell me what you think, if you noticed something different. I did notice, some of the animatronics were, like zombie cowboy animatronics, which is what made me think, wow, it'd probably make more sense to have a zombies versus, like cowboy zombies versus non-cowboy zombies. But that is not what I got. Other than that, it's a nice hayride. It's a long hayride. I did notice some really annoying shit. There were a lot of people with their cell phones out videographing. A lot of fucking Scorseses, out there. You gotta fucking see everything and taking pictures. Nothing was being said to them by anyone. Which, I kind of get it, because there weren't a ton of actors. And is it really the actor's job to break character and tell you to put your phone away? That's one of those gray areas. I'm sure they don't want to get in trouble. I'm sure they don't want to lose their job for telling a patron to put their phone away. But, and it's not like these people were trying to hide it. There were parts where an actor was coming up towards them and they were like right in their face with the phone. And I was like, Jesus Christ. But, again, the human factor, right? The X factor in everything. After the hayride, moved along and I did the Revenge of the Scarecrows, which, like I said, is a walk through, like a small cornfield walk. There were a lot of parts in it that were dead space. The actors were a mix, so there was a mix of costumes and rubber masks, full body paint, and masks and prosthetics, and it wasn't a bad mix. So the costuming and the makeup was fine, but the mix was between the people who were really into it and the other people who just seemed like they wanted to go home. You know what I mean? Like, it was like they're there, or they'll just walk by you and look at you. Now, one thing I will comment on is the spacing. So I watched the group ahead of me, and the park was not overcrowded. It was not overloaded. I've seen it far busier than it was last night. There was, like, I basically walked up, and I was, maybe 5th or 6th in line on my end, and then there were a bunch of people coming on the VIP side. I watched them put a group of at least 15 through. And then I wound up at the front of my group, which was another group of a good 15 people. They only gave us about 20-second lead time between groups, and I can tell you that, down a path, around a corner, and now I'm caught up with the other group. And I do not walk fast. I'm not a Scooby-Doo walker. I don't creep around the edges, trying to prevent myself from getting scared. I take a nice, slow, steady pace to where I can look at all the scenery, I can look at the set pieces, I can, see the scares when they happen, and I keep moving, right? But, that's how little time they gave us. So if anybody's walking a little slow or anybody's walking a little fast, you're going to be on top of each other in no time. I will say the best actors I saw and the most into it, they have a crypt graveyard scene in that area, and those actors were phenomenal. They were into it. They were really trying to sell it. Their makeup was great. The effects were great. It was really like the most enjoyable part of that haunt for me yesterday. They have changed some things up in there as well. Bates Motel seems like they rely more on animatronics than humans, or they try to have a lot of animatronics, which I don't mind, as long as they're working, as long as they're triggering. The problem with the animatronics is when you put groups in that are that large, or groups that are on top of each other, the animatronics aren't triggering properly, or you're catching the end of it, or you're catching the middle of it, or you're not catching it at all because it has that 10-second, 20-second reset period. So, not the most enjoyable thing. Also, they kept some of the themes that they had. They changed other parts. They have a clown area that was bigger than what I remember and more intricate, which was nice to see. They have a bayou area, which... they have animatronics, and once again, like the animatronics, you know, like a head on a metal beam that shoots out, where it's obvious it's not what it's supposed to be, like really isn't scary. Would I call it broken? No. Would I call it incomplete? Yes. So that does take away from the experience and the immersion, right? It's all about immersion. You want to go, you want to be scared, you want to be immersed. The sets were all really well done. Nothing looked, you know, cheap or cheesy. This includes the whole hayride. You know, the sets were well done, and as well, the sets are well done. But there are things that are just incomplete, let's say, and it does take away from the overall experience and the immersion. Final stop of the night was the Bates Motel. Before I get to that, they do have concessions. They have donuts. They have other things. I didn't take pictures because the lines for those were honestly longer than the lines to get into the fucking houses. So I didn't bother. I looked at their gift shop real quick. They basically just had, you know, some sweatshirts and t-shirts and whatnot. You could take a coffin ride and you could get the picture, you know, that everyone's doing now. You could buy your photo there. That was the other thing. At the beginning of the hayride, before the hayride, they asked if you wanted to take pictures. And they asked, do you want to take pictures? If not, just keep walking, which is nice. A lot of places funnel you in, force you to take the picture, and then send you on your way. They did not, which I do appreciate. Same thing with Headless Horseman. They did not force you. They allowed you to walk on by, which may get you, you know, a few people ahead as well, you know, which never hurts, especially on a busy, busy night. Here's a nice another couple puffs of my cigar. I gotta have a sip of coffee. Keep myself energized. Now, the Bates Motel itself is a beautiful walk-through haunt. Let me say that straight out. The Bates Motel is a beautiful walk-through haunt. If I had gripes in the past, it was that it really never changed much. I will say that they made changes this year. Not necessarily for the better, but they did make changes. So, you know, I don't like spoilers, but the beginning is, which I thought was weird, is a lobby area with elevators on either side. That's all I'm going to give you on that. But what I will tell you is they funneled 18 of us into that area, into that lobby area with the elevators. How do I know? Because I fucking counted. That's how I know. Because as people are coming in, I'm like 4, 7, 11, 13, 14, and they keep adding, and 17, and me, 18. Great. So I did count. It's a lot of fucking people. And there was absolutely no line spacing after that. When we were in the haunt, it was a straight fucking conga line of our 18 people. I think I went in third, which isn't bad. But again, a large amount of animatronics, a good amount of actors in the house. Also a pretty decent amount of actors in the Scarecrow, the Revenge of the Scarecrows, in case I didn't say that. Again, it was just a matter of there was a lot of dead space and a lot of space where, you know, you're just walking through nothing. So a lot of dead space, which isn't fun, and some of the actors were just kind of mulling their way through the day. Encountered the same thing inside the motel proper. Some of the actors were popping out and doing their thing. A few of the other actors were kind of mulling their way through it, which I kind of get, because you're sending a conga line of people through. I mean, it's got to be discouraging, because where do you set up your scare when, you know, 10 people have just seen you come out of your hole? Where do you set it up so that you can scare the next person and not just pop out and like the person's like, yeah, I saw you fucking 8 seconds ago. So I mean, I kind of get it. That would be discouraging for me as an actor, as a haunt actor. That would be really disappointing, where I'm like, why am I bothering, right? I did notice that some of the things inside the house were not working. There were things that I've seen there in years prior that just were just not doing what I know they do. Again, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but there are things just not moving that I know moved. There are a couple things that pop out, and they've just poor placement, because where they are, you can plainly see that metal arm that makes it pop up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here on the side, and it really should be probably back there against that wall where I'm not going to see that, but that's not how it was. So don't get me wrong, costuming was great. The atmosphere in the hotel, in the motel, I'm calling it a hotel because motels don't have fucking elevators. They're open floor plan. But it's the level of detail in the Bates Motel itself is beautiful. It's on par with like a Brighton Asylum or the houses in Field of Screams or even Dent. The spacing though was just a killer. They didn't even, and that's the thing that gets me. They didn't even try for the spacing. I understand not trying in that original room because there's it's a setup for that first room. But after that first room, it should be sending people through in groups of 2 to 4 or consistent 4, what have you, or if there's a group of 6. That did not occur. It was basically like, okay, everybody just fucking fuck off. And that sucks. So for me, that ruins the experience. So, and mind you, Bates Motel is not close. This was a over 2 hour drive for me yesterday. I think it's supposed to be a 2 hour drive. It took about 2.5 due to some ridiculous traffic nonsense and the weather. So it did take a long time to get there. It took a while to get home. So, when you go that far for a haunt, you have high hopes, right? With everything said, looking at everything, looking at the costuming, the set pieces, like I said, there are pluses and minuses everywhere, but I'm really having a hard time giving Bates Motel for the 2023 season any higher than a 6.5. I mean, that is my upper limit for what I experienced there, and excluding the people with the cell phones, excluding other nonsensical things that I saw going on that are outside of the realm of the people, just between the lack of actors in certain places, the lack of enthusiasm in other places, the animatronics that are, I don't want to say in ill state of repair because they're working, but they're just, it's obvious that they're machines. You know what I mean? It's like if the fucking Terminator was standing there with his T1, T800 skeleton hanging out, and like he's got the human face, but the body's a fucking skeleton, and he's trying to convince you he's a fucking human being. You get what I'm saying? It just, it really takes away from the illusion. Anyway, all that done, all that considered, I am giving them a 6.5 for the 2023 season. Hopefully next year they address some of the issues I saw. Hopefully it's a better experience. I may go back next season. I know, other people in the group wanted to go this season and couldn't, so maybe not. We'll see. Anyway, that is my review for Bates Motel for 2023 haunt season. Real nice with your shit car and your fucking lack of a muffler, you cunt. Anyway, yeah, that's my review for Bates Motel for the 2023 season. Probably be the last review for the season because this is Halloween and I do like to be here. Good fucking hell, just die. I do like to be here to be around for when the kids stop by so I can give them the appropriate Halloween candy. Anyway, till next time, I'm Ant, and I'll talk to you. Expect a couple movie reviews coming soon. Be nice to hit to hit another escape room. But definitely movie reviews. And then probably a recap when T finally gets his ass here. You can hear him piss and moan and listen to all his bitching about things he didn't get to experience. But yeah, I'll go over some of the things that I saw that he didn't. And on top of that, some of the things that really stood out to me, good and bad, this haunt season. So until next time, I'm Ant. I will talk to you. Stay spooky, guys and girls.